What am I even doing here? Alone in this closet? I don't know what to do. Oh, I know! Let's talk about Monster Hunter! Monster Hunter, the series that's been one of the most successful games Capcom has ever done. Well, one of them at least. I know there are like a few others like Street Fighter and all that, but for this one, we're going to talk about Monster Hunter because it's the game that had the most impact for me. The game originally started in 2004, known as, you guessed it, Monster Hunter 2, for the original PlayStation 2. You play as your custom-made hunter. As the game implies, you go out hunting monsters. You start with super basic weapons and armor. There are 18 different types of weapons to choose from. When you do begin and you go through the tutorial, I know from experience, the tutorial doesn't really explain much. So usually for new players, it's better to look on YouTube for other like experienced monster hunters to show you all the basics and what you need to do to play the game. I would explain it, but I don't have enough time to explain it. I'm here to explain the history of the game and its transmedia as well. Some of its transmedias at least. Around the early 2010s, during Monster Hunter 3, Capcom decided to experiment a bit and release the game on Nintendo platforms rather than Sony's PlayStation. It started with Monster Hunter 3 on the Wii, then Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate for both the Wii and the 3DS. The 3DS version in particular became very popular, to the point where the game skyrocketed new heights. I know that because I started out with Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the 3DS. There were a couple of different other games, including some spin-offs for the 3DS. For example, the next mainline Monster Hunter game would be, of course, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. One of the spin-off games for the 3DS will be called Monster Hunter Stories, where rather you hunt monsters, it acts more like an RPG type game. Mostly the turn-based ones like the OG Final Fantasies and Octopath Travelers. Things were changed in 2018 when Capcom decided for the next mainline Monster Hunter game, Monster Hunter World, to release on both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One rather than Nintendo. At the time, the fans were divided, both for no longer being on Nintendo platforms and also like the gameplay being adjusted too much to where the OG fans didn't really feel that followed the original formula of Monster Hunter, which in a way kind of did and didn't. However, thanks to the game being both on the then successful PlayStation 4 and its upgrade in terms of graphic fidelities, and let's just say like a pretty decent story, the game was very much even more successful than when the series originally jumped to 3DS. Which, speaking of which, after the Nintendo Switch release in 2017, people did expect that Capcom would release a new Monster Hunter game for the Nintendo Switch. That didn't came until like 3 or 4 years later with Monster Hunter Rise. Well, at least in Japan, Monster Hunter Generations and Monster Hunter Generations 2 did come out both the Switch and the 3DS, but when Generations 2 came out in North America, we only got Generations 2 for the Switch. Monster Hunter Rise is a pretty good game. This is what I'm using the footage capture for, and it does play well. It also has its own quirks like the whole like bug jumping thing, which some fans say kind of takes away from more of like the game being challenging to like hunt monsters, but the game's alright in my books. Speaking of Transmedia Monster Hunter, there was like a movie about Monster Hunter. The thing is, it sucks a lot. To be honest, I never like really watched it, and when I watched the trailers, it never really followed the original stories or like the formula of Monster Hunter. It just kind of looked like a post-apocalyptic movie, in my opinion. Now, I've come across this anime called Monster Hunter Stories, and from what it looks pretty good, you know. I don't know, it's just an anime fan in me just wanting to show us off, so now that that's over, back to past band. However, I did heard the Netflix series, which eventually came a few years later, was pretty decent. I'll probably watch it a bit, maybe. The Netflix series, by the way, is called Monster Hunter Legend of the Guild, which honestly is a much better name than should have been the movie in the first place! With the upcoming release of Monster Hunter Wilds, the next main leading Monster Hunter game in 2025 for both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and also PC, it seems like the game is taking yet another step to change its formula. This time, however, with Monster Hunter Wilds, instead of being able to choose multiple maps, you are fighting monsters in this one huge large map. And in a way, it kind of makes the game feel like a bit of an MMO in a way. Also, the game's cross-platform for the first time in the series, so guess what? If you're on Xbox, you don't have to buy a PlayStation to play your PlayStation friends who owns this Monster Hunter Wilds game. Yay! To me, Monster Hunter series will always remain a special place in my heart, for both how it introduced the formula and for one of the game series to get me into Japanese games, mangas, and anime. I do hope that what I present is educational, and what I hope I present is that while many of its attempts in Transmedia went backward, I hope in the future, when it does go Transmedia again, and maybe with like the mangas as well, that it will be like, that will take the series way beyond the games.